than a podcast. Oh, it's time for your favorite show and mine. No, not Whaler Phil. We're talking about Better Than a Podcast with me and my lovely co-host Gary. Yeah, he decided to show his face today. You guys know the drill. Better Than a Podcast. We have several topics we have in mind, ranging from Chief Tarful territory, Omicron gameplay, to people complaining there's too much to do and it's boring, to something that could be really big if it comes to Galaxies. We're going to be talking about a little bit about Lord of the Rings and a new game mode they're bringing in, and a what-if type of character scenario release. What if we had a dark side Luke Skywalker come to Galaxy of Heroes like they're probably doing over there for Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth? Wow. That'd be pretty darn awesome. So sit back, relax, hopefully you enjoy this. Basically, it's me having to do a lot of chores for Conquest. So come on over and let's get right to it. Today, what I'm going to try to do while I'm hanging out with you guys is we're going to try to knock out some Dr. Aphra stuff, some Night Sister stuff. Now that Grand Arena's going on, I have myself the Datacron farming I did, so now I can actually focus on taking care of the feats. So what we're going to do is hop on over here. And let's just, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to focus on global feats for right now. And we're going to farm nodes for Datacrons, so that way I can talk to you folks. And on that note, let's start that conversation off here. What do you think, Gary? All right, Gary, man, you always got the thoughts. This guy, always so insightful. Actually, funny note, before we get into this, I thought this was funny. Last time we did Better Than a Podcast, people thought we're in a bathtub, Gary. How romantic does that sound? You and me in our individual bathtub? That sounds like a romantic getaway if I ever saw one. All right, first thing I want to bring up here, a little bit on the TIE Dagger. That's going to be coming out tomorrow with the Galactic Chase. I thought this was really funny. Can we show a picture of it? We have the TIE Dorita! This is from Decimator 97. I thought this was pretty funny. This definitely caught everyone off guard. I don't think I saw a single person like, oh yeah, I called it. Haha, you guys are wrong. I definitely see a lot of disappointment. Kind of, I feel like mirrored what I felt after we got the TIE Dagger kit reveal, in case you missed it. Card in the top right-hand corner, the second requirement for the Leviathan that we know. First one being Darth Malgus' Fury Class Interceptor, which we won't be unlocking until June. We need to wait for one more conquest. But the general sentiment is, boy, people were kind of bummed. They really wanted a lore-accurate type of fleet for the Leviathan, a Sith Empire-based thing. But I kind of suspected, you know, I wasn't expecting 100% like to the T lore, because I had a feeling Scimitar was going to be a part of this fleet and all that other fun stuff. But it is a little disappointed we didn't have the variety of Sith Imperial ships they could have added. Or at the minimum, we have a Sith Empire trooper that doesn't have a fleet or a ship yet. So you would think they would do that. So I'm hoping at the minimum the next ship will be for the Sith Empire troopers. So that way all the current Sith Imperials that we have, at least the, you know what I mean, the unit, the troopers, they have their own thing. Sith Assassin has her own ship. We have Sith Marauder's got his own ship. And then it would be nice if Sith Empire Trooper had his own ship. So at least we have that. So I hold out hope. Hope that's the case, but at the flip of a coin, people are happy that a lot of people had Sith Empire Trooper, unless you're this guy who had all the Sith geared up except for Sith Trooper. Oh gosh. But I think a lot of people are happy for the prospect that this is going to work decently well finalized. Or time will tell. We'll be testing it out later on tomorrow. But I thought we addressed it. The meme was pretty funny. I had to put it out there. But what I do want to talk about, kind of a big deal. I've been feeling a degree of this myself. It's always good starting a conversation off with memes. I want to show Sith Master Sith Kebab with this great meme right here. It's always one or the other, it feels like. You have two buttons. Time investment is too high. We need new content. The Galaxiers subreddit right now. I want to share my thoughts on the matter. Last week especially, with the offseason of Grand Arena, with Conquest, the new raid, as well as territory battles, it was a lot going on. And I don't know if it's necessarily in a good way. Here's what I mean. We want engaging content, right? That's what people yearn for, and I think that's what the second button is with we need new content. I think the problem is a lot of this new content, it feels like tedious chores. I mean, especially Conquest, like you see what I'm doing right now. It would be nice if I could just sim this, but instead, this is meaningless engagement. Wouldn't you agree, Gary? Yeah, I'm just hitting auto while I'm talking to you guys. I have a funny story I want to bring up about autoing in a moment here, but in territory battles, our guild, which is like number 1 or 2, it's always back and forth who's the number 1 and 2 guild. They just let us auto territory. I don't have to put any thought into it. Conquest, you pretty much auto for the most part. Krayt Dragon Raid, it's not quite a full auto, but you could if you wanted to. I do put a little bit of effort inside of my Krayt Dragon run, but the point is, it feels like there's a lot going on chore-wise that's just autoing, and it's not fully engaged. Now, like Grand Arena, at least in my mind, is it's a high engagement game mode. You're not just going and hitting auto and calling it. You're putting thought into it. You're playing 90% of the battles on manual, then you maybe hit auto for an easy battle, or when the battle's almost won, you hit auto to quickly get out. I don't see that with game modes like Territory Battles and Conquest. Territory Battles is more or less Conquest, just a little bit more thematic, I suppose. So I feel like there's a lot of overlay with the game modes that we have, and they're very tedious and chore heavy. And I know my guild especially, there's a lot of people that are getting kind of burnt out on all this autoing, and I don't know if it's because the developers want to report high engagement, high in-game time. I should say you're in-game for an hour, 2 hours a day, doing all this stuff so they can show, hey, look, these people are playing this game for this long every day. It's not high engagement, though. It's not like highly enjoyable type of content, at least in my mind, and from the other folks that I hear that have been kind of getting burnt out. So it's not that I don't know if the meme's 100% accurate. It is quite funny. I think the problem is a lot of this just feels kind of chore. I think if they would give us some quality of life ways to handle Conquest a bit better, so I'm not sitting here every single day going in, hitting auto, wasting 30, 40 minutes of this, adding a sim option to nodes you already have 3 stars would kind of go a long way, I think. And then Territory Battles, I'm not saying give us a sim option for Territory Battles, but it's definitely a lot of battles going on for each and every planet. It starts to wind down once you get to the later phases. So I do feel the burnout a little bit last, because like, holy cow, there's so much. I was losing track of the raids and all this other stuff. It's cool we have stuff to do. I think they need to fine tune what needs to be autoed, what needs to be simmed, and what needs the actual engagement. And I want to put this funny story up. So this past weekend, with all this stuff going on, the raids and Territory Battles and Conquest, I saw my family this weekend, and they see my Galaxy of Heroes running on the holopad, and they're like, oh, you need to play your game? It's like, oh no, it's playing by itself. And they're like, the game plays itself? I was like, when I sat there, and I get my parents are not big into video games, but they understand that usually you sit there and you're invested, you're actually playing the game. It kind of blew their mind that I play a game that you just sit there, you hit auto, and it plays itself. They're like, what's the point of the game then? And I kind of sat there, it's like, huh. It's really just, I like collecting the Star Wars characters. So it blew their minds, and it's the first time I sat there, it's like, wow, this is the only game I've played where I'm not engaged with it. I'm just hitting auto while we're talking and doing my Conquest, doing my Territory. So it blew their minds, and it also kind of blew my mind a little bit. Anyways, that was a long point of conversation right there. I do want to transition this over to the Krayt Dragon Raid. I get people that keep wanting me to, like, they want me to make a video every single day about the Krayt Dragon Raid rewards. It's known, it's out there. I hope the developers do something to, again, bring us back on parity again. The biggest thing, guild event token currency. I'm not going to keep bringing it all up. I made several videos in it already. I hope the developers do address the Krayt Dragon Raid rewards, but I want to also talk about a lot of sentiment going on in regards to just this raid in general, and how some folks feel that it's not the most engaging thing. And I agree to a pretty decent extent, where I think it's a little unfortunate we didn't have multi-phases. I think this maybe helps out get the raid out there a little bit faster. Less game balance needed, because every single phase was kind of its own individual raid. If you think about it, at the end of the day, every raid, every phase had different mechanics, different tool set, different teams that were needed. So if it was kind of 4 raids in one, and it sort of feels like they just turned us into a one-phase raid just for simply game balance. Because holy cow, this jingle is tearing me apart, Gary. All right, I guess we need to switch out teams. Hold that thought. Let's switch out some teams real quick. One of the sentiments I see brought up, besides just rewards, which that is 100% a legitimate thing to talk about, is the fact that this raid is very, it feels prepackaged, right? You only can bring in the certain factions: Jawas, Hutt Cartel, Mandalorians, and the list is very short, but it goes on from there. And I want to put it this way. That is kind of true of the other raids in the past, where there really was only a couple of go-to teams, albeit a little bit more than just 5 factions or whatever we were allowed for in this Krayt Dragon raid. But it's like the challenge rank raid. It was kind of just a function of, do you have Supreme Lord Kylo Ren? Do you have Rey? And then eventually it became, do you have Jedi Master Kenobi? And of course there were some non-GL things, but relatively speaking, the challenge rank raid was largely a function of, you need these galactic legends to make this as easy as possible for your guild. So the idea that The raids had a lot more flexibility of teams used. I don't know if it's 100% sure. Maybe of the older raids before Challenge Ranker raid, there was a little bit more. But the thing I want to say that I do like, that I feel like people don't give enough credit, is the fact that this raid allows you to dial a difficulty to your measure. And even for me and my free-to-play account, I'm able to get like top 20 just from using a couple of teams that I have. And again, getting relic gates, we're getting better rewards, or we're getting the relic gates that we had in the past at the minimum. So I'm able to still engage with it. All right, we're gonna do some massively overpowered stuff. In case you're curious what data discs I'm using, I made a video on it. People never seem to see it when I talk about optimal data disc for every conquest season. These are data discs I'm currently using, but we're gonna do some massively overpowered here. And why don't we do some foresight shenanigans? All right, let's just go send in some Jedi, spam some foresight. So continuing on what I was saying a moment ago, I definitely think, you know, there's a degree of concern when it comes to the limited factions that were afforded, but you have to remember, on the bright side, you're able to at least utilize some degree of what you have. Like my free-to-play account, I have a Mandalorian team, I have a little bit of a Beskar Mando, you know, Canderous Ordo type of thing. I have an older public team that I could utilize. I don't have a Jawa team, and also if you have a Relegate Boba Fett, which you use for the executor requirements, you just go in, put the maximum tier on, whatever it is, tier 6, and you can at least, boom, get 200,000 points straight from the very get-go. So there's ways to still get points. You can at least get rewards that are better than some of the previous raids, or the previous raids that we have right now, not the previous raid rewards before the system. You know what I'm trying to get at. So you can still engage with it, where the challenge rank rate, I think, was probably the more limiting, because you couldn't even enter in a team unless you had Relic 5. So I think there's some truth to what people are complaining about, where it feels like you're not able to do a lot. But I feel like the level of theory crafting and the level of best teams is almost the same. But at least I think the engagement here is going to be better, because more people can play this raid versus the Challenge Ranker raid. You had to have Galactic Legend, you needed Relic 5, and that was kind of it at that point. Again, at the end of the day, the biggest complaint for me of this raid, I actually enjoy it overall. I think it's thematic. I think it's cool. I like the idea of getting more raids. Like, you know, I want to bring this up one more time. Boy, I don't know if I'm talking about this too much. I know people want a 4-phase raid, but would you rather have a single... boy, it's tough, because I can see this both ways. Would you rather have just one raid with 4 phases, and it's all thematic, you know, Sith Triumvirate raid, all that fun stuff? Or would you rather have 4 different type of raids, all in different eras of the Star Wars universe? That's kind of enticing for me. So although it sucks that we don't have 4 raids on this Krayt Dragon raid, I think it's pretty cool that again, it depends how frequently they're going to add new raids. I think it's cool that they might add, I don't know, let's say a Jedi Temple raid of some sort, and then maybe Empire, Galactic Republic, separate, maybe not separatists, but you know what I'm trying to get. Maybe, you know, there'll be another raid that's coming out soon that's going to be more ideal for your guild. So that I think I'd rather have more raids that are iconic and thematic than just having one raid of 4 phases. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's just at the end of the day, the biggest complaint is truly just the raid rewards. I hope they figure out a way to bring things back to parity at the minimum. All right, let's set ourselves up for some Imperial Trooper kills, and then we can chat a little bit. Boy, this opening play is always rough. Probably should bring in Shore Trooper, I'm thinking here. Let's see what we can do. All right, come on, let's get some. There we go. Let's do this. All right, let's go pump some turn meter to the team and start. There we go. We got some turn meter rocking and rolling, and let's take care of, we're going to save Night Sister Zombie at the very end here. Let's go. Just keep this train moving along. All right, nice big push of turn meter. Hopefully, she's a little annoying. There we go. Come on. There we go. Pull back all their turn meter real quick. All right, and then eventually we should, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hit him back, hit him back. Awesome, good stuff. Good stuff. So let's go send this over here on Asajj, and then eventually we can just do full auto on the zombie. All right, there we go. There's nothing to punch there. I appreciate it though. All right, what I could do now is we can likely just hit auto basic on this and just ramp up some kills that we need for, there we go. Beautiful. All right, now that we got that set up, I want to talk about the TIE Dorito. A couple of things we want to put out there. So again, we know there's a Galactic Chase coming. We don't quite know 100% what the drop rates are going to be. We're going to, of course, have the math from the community put together to kind of have an idea. We're hoping for the best. We're hoping that maybe CG saw there's a lot of more maybe money involved with them making it cheaper to get. Hard to say. I'm feeling optimistic, but as always, I want to bring out Egnard, one of our resident spreadsheet masters of the Star Wars galaxy, community funny guy. I had the pleasure of talking to him a couple weeks ago. We had a fun little conversation actually on Reddit. But I want to bring out a few things I think it's important to put out there in regards to what we know in regards to this Thai Dorito and just kind of planning about when the Leviathan likely is going to come. So let's just start from the very top. I talked about this the other day in the Thai Dagger kit review. I keep wanting to say Thai Dorito. It says Thai Defender was the last collected chase. We don't get too many of them. Usually about like I think 3 or 4 a year, something like that. It was the first one on Fleet for years and cost roughly 5,500 crystal to get the 7 stars. And this chase was also 2 days longer than normal. So right from the very get-go, we know the drop rate was really good. It was longer than most galactic chases. So it's already looking like, oh boy, maybe we should manage our expectations a little bit here. But previous to this galactic chases, all roughly had the same cost of 7 stars, regardless of type of energy, with drop rates being normalized. Keeping this in mind, the refresh cost and speed. And they give some suggestions on, again, it's hard to kind of give 100% of suggestions, but they have some rough rule of thumb that seem to kind of be indicative of previous galactic chases. The adjusted cost for other chases have been roughly 38,000 crystals. And when we just remind ourselves that Thai Defender is about 5,000 crystals, yeah, that was a complete steal, a complete bargain for us. There is usually and now here's where we're kind of talking about when it's going to release, and this is why you want to maximize the farming the character now. Boy, don't you love this engaging content back here? This is what CG loves and dreams. Anyways. Talk about marquee release schedules or galactic chase release schedules. There's usually a 2 to 3 week window between marquee releases when released in sets. So I think what they're trying to say here is that we're probably looking at, another 2 weeks or so before we get the next ship, and that should be the last new ship we're supposed to be getting for this Leviathan. So that's when we can kind of maybe expect the next one. It sounds about right. Usually it feels like almost every 2 weeks at minimum there's something new coming, whether a ship or character. Both Profundity and Executive have released in August, roughly 1 year apart. Now, I caution this deduction here. That's kind of the deduction I'm making, but it's a guess. It's not quite a deduction, because if we look at Galactic Legends, we thought we were going to get 4 GLs every year. First year, we had Primitive Kylo Ren, Rey, Sith Eternal, Master Luke, holy cow, all in 1 year. The next time, we only had ourselves Lord Vader, Jedi Master Kenobi. And then after that, we just had Jabba. So we went from 4 to 2 to 1. Pretty big drop. So it's kind of hard to say it's a consistent thing, but so far, usually new capital ships come around that August, September type of span. So it sounds about right. It kind of feels like that's probably what we're going to look at. Profundity's Outrider kind of came out around this time too. The shipping window for Thai Dagger will be June 22nd to July 6th. And if you are going to want to spend crystals, I don't recommend buying packs. There's really no need to buy packs. I've never seen a reason to buy packs. It's always cheaper. If you want to spend crystals, get them out of shipments. And if you're looking to get this on your farming calendar, we're looking at sometime around July 27th to August 24th is when we're probably going to see this become farmable. And then whatever the next ship is to release, it will not release until roughly June 8th to June 16th, about 2-3 weeks from now, making the minimum window for Leviathan June 22nd through June 29th, which is highly, highly unlikely. I agree. I mean, we know CG wants to squeeze out money, but I'm feeling August, September is probably what we're looking at here. And anyways, they kind of come to this roundabout conclusion. My theory is that people shouldn't go too crazy on refreshes. And they kind of say here, again, a reminder, we are using previous chase as our basis in this post. So nothing here is set in stone. We will know more on Thursday, Friday. So the first set of refresh is about 28.7 shards per crystal refresh, or per crystal. Second set of refreshes, 57 crystals, 57 crystals per shard. And then when you do a third set of refresh, it becomes a little bit more expensive. Anyways, they round this out in a very, TLDR type of fashion. Essentially, it means that if CG follows the similar patterns, players shouldn't go past their second set of refresh for Thai Dagger, as it'll be more advantageous for them to just ship and farm them, and that's the point to get at, than to go for a third set of refreshes. So there you go. So you keep an eye on your refresh. We'll have more specifics on the actual drop rates. And I guess we'll see if this is going to be easy. I'm hoping it's an easy farm. It felt really darn good when we had ourselves, Thai Defender be so so free to play accessible. It was amazing. I felt no reason to spend any money on it. It was like the first thing I got with no money spent. It was pretty awesome, actually, in terms of week 1 release. Moving on, we're going to talk a little about Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth, and we have one more Galaxy Heroes topic at the very end. But I want to bring this up. So last week, there's a couple things I just was too busy to get around to, so I figured I'd jam it in here. Some of you guys play Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth. Maybe I should make a separate video for those that do just play Lord of the Rings, but don't play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. If you made it past the graphics, you're still playing, congratulations. I think you're going to be fine. There seems to be a lot of interesting new content coming in the pipeline. And what I'm really hoping is, I've been getting this question a lot based on this interview. Okay, let's back up. So the developers of Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth did a developer interview with Screen Rant, and they unveiled a few plans that they have for a multi-year content overview that they have. One of them being, it looks like there's going to be a Grand Arena coming. They talk about a PvP format where there's going to be multi-squads, and it sounds like Grand Arena. They'd be foolish. Grand Arena is what makes Galaxy Heroes special, in my opinion, and other games have been trying to get that format. That's the one thing I feel like other games are learning from Galaxy of Heroes in a good way, is add some sort of Grand Arena format. Marvel Strike Force did it, and the list kind of goes on and on and on at that point. But another thing they talk about is they're talking about they're going to be adding like big, powerful monsters, kind of like Wampa. They're going to be bringing in like trolls and giant spiders. You only can have one of them on the field. So, boy, wouldn't that be something we can get more monsters that we can utilize? We always wish we could have like an Accolade or a Nexu or a Reek that we can use. You know, I hope they kind of do let that happen for Galaxy Heroes. But the third thing that really stuck out to me, and I've been getting questions from people, if we can see this in Galaxy of Heroes, and I feel like I'm going to have to be the bearer of bad news. So one of the questions I had is, how are they going to make all these characters? Well, of course, they're pulling from the literary works of the Tolkien universe. But they're doing something that really blows my mind. And Marvel Strike Force kind of had a little of this where they added, for example, Star-Lord T'Challa from the Marvel What If series. If you haven't seen it, it's actually a really fun series to watch on Marvel. If you enjoy Marvel, highly recommend watching it. They're doing something kind of similar here, but they're not pulling from like Marvel's What If. They're making this up as they go along, if I'm understanding this correctly. They're adding like what if characters, like what if Galadriel hadn't rejected the offer of the One Ring? Where would the universe be? What would this character be all about? And that kind of gets me excited. That's like probably the most I felt excited about Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth. Like, what if Gandalf was corrupted and kind of went to, helped out the other side, rather than how we actually saw it pan out? Like, that's quite interesting. And boy, does that give a lot more flexibility to add a lot more characters. And this got me to talking to some folks about Star Wars. Could we see this happen for Star Wars? Could there be a what if Luke Skywalker went to the dark side, which there are some things in Legends, how Luke was Palpatine's apprentice at one point, but I doubt that's going to come to the Star Wars. But wouldn't that be cool? What if you had a light side, Darth Vader redeemed, or what if Anakin didn't fall to the dark side? You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be really darn cool if that would happen for Star Wars. I'm just unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen because I want to put it this way. The Tolkien universe is different from Star Wars. Star Wars is very much different from Marvel. Marvel, there's multiverses. In Star Wars, there's only a one, at least as of now, who knows, things can change. There you go, look at that, boom. Knocked all that out in one sitting. There's only a one singular universe inside of the canon Star Wars. There is no multiverse that we have. We don't have a what if official series from Star Wars as well. Lucasfilm, from the way I understand, they're very protective of the Star Wars franchise, and anything that gets made, or a character, a game, whatever movie, it's got to fit in the designated singular timeline that exists inside of Star Wars. I would love to see if they let us have that fun inside of Star Wars, having a dark side Luke, a light side Darth Vader, or redeemed Anakin. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. I think that'd be really darn cool to have. I just don't suspect that Star Wars is going to be that willy-nilly with their license. They take the highest regard on how things are added. We do have original characters like Genos and Brood Alpha and Shorty, so I know we could definitely get original characters so long as they fit within a timeline on the Star Wars singular universe. But I don't know if we're going to see stuff like that. One last thing I want to bring up before we wrap up this video. Let me know your thoughts down below on that. That's, boy, a lot of stuff here. It's like 20 videos in one. Last thing I want to talk about here, and just a little thing at the very end. We just wrapped up a territory wars. Oh, boy. It's like the two top guilds going at each other. It's always like the highest of intensity territories in the entire game. It sucks it's not more publicized out there. Just seeing the top guilds go at it, I think it'd be great. This goes into my conversation. I think territory needs an overhaul. It's way too outdated. And point aside, we're not going to keep beating the bush on that. But I want to show some Chief Tarful Territory War Omicron gameplay. I have plans on, once we kind of see a little bit of Saw Gerrera and 5v5, I actually threw on the Omicron to give it its best shot. I want to make a video kind of like highlighting and kind of summarizing what the requirements for Cal Kestis Survivor is looking like and how I like them, where they kind of fit in the game. Chief Tarful, very easily beaten with Bad Batch. I will say it took a while because they're very durable and they have high defensive stats on the team. But I was kind of a bit let down. Didn't do a lot. And Bad Batch, you know the drill. If Bad Batch is beating her like Imperial Troopers or Wampa, it's generally not the bestest thing in the whole wide world. Could be more of an offensive tool. But I thought it'd be fun this year just to show Bad Batch one of my favorite teams. It's the light side Imperial Trooper, basically. Being able to just steamroll some of these teams. It's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, though, probably not worth throwing that Chief Tarful's Omicron for defense. Offense could be a whole different ball game. And on that note, I think we kind of ended at a good spot. I got a lot more stuff I got to do, but I don't want to bore you guys anymore. We'll get to that Max Krayt. Now that the Grand Arena's in session, I can just focus on completing a couple things, but for the most part, we're on track to get this Max Conquest Krayt. And boy, oh boy, am I excited to finally get my hands on the Fury Class Interceptor. Gary, as always, you've been a fantastic host. The thoughts and wisdom you bestowed upon us, second to none, my friend. And same goes to you guys. You guys are second to none. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, talking about all these fun little topics. Always love talking to you guys in the comments below. And more importantly, I always love to say how it's great to be in the Empire today.